So before we start, I tried this out previously, but running Linux natively with multiple screen always works. Yes. Okay. So yeah, this talk will be a little bit about everything and anything. So if you're daredevil, although Swedish culture doesn't demand that you actually ask questions, but during my talk, you're allowed to ask questions. All of the time, you can just interrupt me. Please do, if you dare. If there were any other conference in any other language, I would probably not say this, but you can. Yeah, so who the hell am I? My name is Jesper Larsson, and I work as a penetration tester. This is what I do all day. Clicking pens. No, I actually am hired to sort of break in or try to play the bad guy or the antagonist, break in, do my thing, leave. But I have to write a big-ass report telling everyone how I did it and how they're not supposed to do it next time around. So I've been doing this for 10, 15 years full-time. My wife doesn't think I have a normal job, which is sort of true, I would say. I don't work like a 9 to 5. I don't do any sales. I have a small room between the laundry and the kitchen where I live. It's not even technically a room, because you could almost do this and reach the ends of it. So it's all of my automation that you will see later on. It's actually had to move out, because otherwise I had to be sitting there naked with like fans and whatnot, because it's very, very small. What else? I do work for a hacker collective called Cure53. Anyone heard about them? No, one person. 2 persons. Yeah, not really that many Swedish clients. We work all over the world. We do mainly web application hacking. And then they have me, who does like orchestration, backend stuff, all the glue behind the cloud and the application, basically. So from the web stack all the way down to the cool things. That's what I do. Yeah, and I do a bunch of other stuff as well. I was fortunate to be one of the dudes in Hacka, the one who doesn't even show here. It's actually me. It's actually not that computer, but it looks so similar. I'm the one with the obfuscated face. Anyone looked at this? Did you like it? Cool. It's not my sort of contribution that made it good, though. I just said I'm famous for saying kuk on Swedish television and now on PyCon, which is weird. And yeah, we're going to create a hacker button. I'm going to push it. That's what we're going to do. Bye. Basically, yeah, TV is hard. Harder than hacking. And then I do a podcast called Seconds Podcasten, where we sort of rant about security. The whole idea is to, when we created this podcast, was to actually get together and just talk shit, but got paid for it in the beginning. So it's really unstructured. We just talk about our opinions in Swedish. Discussing security topics, high and low, basically. So yeah. Anyone listen to that one? Yeah, a few of you. Cool. I love you the most. And then I do something called Security Fest. Anyone heard of that one? Yeah, some of you guys? Good. Best conference in the world. I'm biased. PyCon is getting there too as well. But yeah, so it's a security conference. Technical security conference, only driven by actual CFPs, so it's no vendor-driven. It's just you have to do research and send your paper in, and if you're lucky, you get accepted. And that is enough about me. Now we're going to talk about my work. So anyone here done some pen testing? Some of you guys? Yeah, there's actually a few. Yep. And the cool thing is that I'm here talking about this at PyCon, which is like a monumental moment for me, because I write everything in my automation pipeline in Python, and I'm laughing now because you don't know my code. It's really, really shitty. It's like I'm going to show you some of it. Anyone here like well versed with cloud stuff? Surely, right? AWS, and not that many. What do you do then? Only thick backend applications that runs. We're going to show you some really cool backend stuff later on, how not to use things in the backend. But yeah, that's a different thing. But yeah, so I write everything in Python. And that is awesome until you meet like a big-ass tech giant with enough resources to kill a small city, because you leave your automation running, and then you come back and your computer is sort of melted through the desk because it's too hot and all the memory is out, because asynchronous requests I should have learned to do asynchronous programming really early on. That would have been really helpful. Threads is also another thing. And states is also really good, not running things from top down all the time. But now it's too big, so I can't really change it. And the problem is I can't really change my computer either, because my tool repository is like virtual environments on top of virtual environments, about virtual environments, so it's dependency chaos. And I'm on stage at PyCon. I made it! Which is insane. Right? So yeah, thanks for having me. I will not come back. No. So, but I'm here about talking about penetration testing, not really Python development. So penetration testing, in my beautiful mind, is like doing a puzzle, but you're never done. There is always like infinite amount of puzzle pieces. That's sort of my process. I try to sort of map it out like a quest, like a digital fortress that we're going to pass through. So I build these cool maps in my mind in order to get sort of the gist on what we're doing and where we're going, basically. The problem with like penetration testing, when you look at it from the perspective of a game, is that there is no, the rules is sort of shitty, right? The idea is to break in, and when you have broken in, you're going to break in again. And when you have, yeah, so it's sort of an iterative process. When are you actually done? Never, right? Because there will always be an edge case. There will always be something. If you do like an escape room or something, you're done when you sort of solve all the problems. But there is an infinite amount of problems. And yeah, that is like problem number one with pen testing. You're never done. You have your repertoire, you have your set of features, but you're never done, basically. Yeah, shoot. Yeah. Yeah, where do you, yeah, the budget, like time-wise. So we talked a little bit about this before the talk, actually. That's a good thing. So my job is really weird. I don't have an hourly pay, basically. Well, I do to Swedish clients. It's really normal in Sweden to have an hourly rate, but to like 80% of my assignments are based out of international clients. So my main income is euro, which is awesome when the Swedish krona is just going down. Perfect. And you don't exchange your money. You have them at a German account in my case, so you don't have to change it to Swedish. So you keep it in euros as long as you can, which is awesome. So yeah, work with international clients, and then I get paid by day, basically. So it's like, yeah, you have 10 days on this scope. And I work with like in a hacking collective where no one is actually hired. Everyone is a freelancer. So everyone is just connected to this brand, and this brands have a good reputation, so we get a lot of clients. And then we have this big, the grand boss of Doom called Mario Heidrich, who sort of says like, yeah, this work package is Jesper, this is Masato, this is Alex, and we get like 10 days, 5 days, and whatnot. And then we work on a specific work package that are tailored to our expertise, because we are good at different things, right? So everyone at Cure has their own expertise. We have crypto guys, we have me, we have application guys. And then we sort of attack the target, 10 days of effort. It could be that I work a little bit during the day, take a break, work a little bit later. We're going to talk about this in more detail. But the whole gist of it is that I don't have a 9-to-5 job. And like pen testing for me is, it's cool and all. And the only thing that you have to really embrace in my mind is the learning mindset. Because 90% of the times I don't really know what I'm doing, because every implementation is different. Like writing custom code, people who has actually written that code have hopefully thought about it a lot, not just use a ChatGPT prompt to get it back, or they actually thought about the code. And I just look at it and it's like, I don't know. So the only foundation framework here is the technology stack, basically. If they're using a Google Cloud, or if you're using AWS, or using Terraform Construct, or whatever it could be, right? That will be my knowledge base. And then I try to just get a basic understanding what's going on, and then progress from there. So work-wise, not a 9-to-5. I work whenever I want to, but I'm really, there's one pain with this. I am my own boss, and boring things are still boring, even though you get paid for them. So yeah, that is sad. And deadlines is really, really, really important. Like, really important. I would chew off my own hand if I don't have a legitimate reason not to be done in time, because it will, the cascading effect of working 5 days or 10 days with a client, then you have a new client, a new client, a new client, having to do like cross the stream, if you use the Ghostbuster terminology, will not happen because everyone is running the same technology stack, so you won't remember where you're at, basically. It's just a blur, right? I guess that's normal for everyone, so I don't want to do that whatsoever. One thing at a time. So, yeah, so it's basically a structured and a chaos theory approach to pen testing in my mind. It starts basically with trying to understand what is going on, basically. It's really cool. There's like the vine of the full stack developers out there, because no one talks to each other, but everyone uses the same technology stack. It's insanely cool. Like and you look at their sort of, yeah, we're using this technology, and everyone is using the same, which is insane. So you need, in my mind, you need to have a structured approach in order to, okay, what's going on? What will be the sort of downfalls? Where will be the pitfalls in said configuration or application stack that you're assessing? So you need to be quick learning where the sort of pain points or where the potential vulnerabilities could lie and whatnot. And then there is the chaos theory, trying to build a cool chain that actually uses small, minuscule errors or shortcuts or laziness, or call them whatever you want, in order to do something cool very fast from the other part of the side. And we're going to talk a little bit about this as well. I'm doing great for time, which is awesome. Yeah, so this could be, what am I doing here? I'm doing a lint count, like a line of code count on my cloud stuff repository. This is how it looks a lot of the time. This is not that much. Imagining auditing a VPN provider that's been around for 10 years or something, that has 2,000 servers and all the applications in the world to do online privacy, then the line count is a lot more. So where do you even start, right? It's insanely boring. And that is something that I need to point out there for everyone who's aspiring to become a pen tester or doing offensive security work. It is awesome, believe me. It's nice, it's super cool, and everything is awesome, but you will end up doing this a lot. And you need to embrace the idea that when you come on Monday and open up your laptop where your work package is, there is so much technical things that you have to sort out in order to be productive. So you have to embrace the feeling and not be this guy, basically, which happens a lot. So now, anyone here, yeah, if there isn't anyone here that says yes to this, I'm leaving. So GitHub Actions and the GitHub workflows, anyone work with them? Yeah.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah, is it? No, but it's really cool because everyone is using it now. And it's really hard to do it correctly. And the 90s are back again. Because like running GitHub Actions actually gives you command stacking, remote code execution in the weirdest of shells. Like the whole CI/CD stuff is just there in order to provide, not me, it was that dude. It was a CI/CD pipeline. I didn't execute anything. But yeah, moving it to the cloud, why not? It's just awesome. So that's something when it goes like, you have to really know the details, and the details are really fine-grained, so it makes it really hard to actually make it right, which is insane. So let's do this. So in my mind, when I do a bunch of stuff, I tend to have my magic spellbook, and in my magic spellbook, I have all of the notes for a specific resource that I'm attacking. It could be ECRs, it can be Kubernetes, it could be the specific technology stack that I have. So and here on the right-hand side, you have a proof of concept snippet. Basically, the whole thing on how to, if you get a remote code execution in Azure, you could actually decrypt the gold state or the bootstrap keys, and then generate an authentication token, so you can use that said compromised instance and get an auth ticket that you can actually use to query around in Azure. And this is working now because the fix is apparently not a problem. This is not a problem, according to Microsoft. Not sure why, but so we can So my gist is like, how do you exploit this? Yeah, you need to be able to curl the control data plane. You need to be able to reach the goal state server. You need to be able to create an SSL certificate that doesn't need to be created on the machine. You could actually download it. As you can see, jesper.0x4a.se downloads the cert, and then I create a request, and then I get it signed, and with that I can decrypt the wire key server data, and then I can extract the token. Boom. A lot of steps, right? So you will never remember that. That's why we have the magic spellbook. And in the magic spellbook, all of these weirdness lives. So I can sort of help myself. And that is one way of doing it. And then I have this, which I'm a little bit ashamed to talk about. But yeah, this is it. This is my repo of cloud stuff. And yeah, it is .py everywhere, which is awesome. So I do everything in Python, basically, in order, because it's just fast, but it's not scaling at all. So you can see like find secrets, ec2.py is like, that is called by another thing, that is called by, so it's, yeah. And out comes this JSON array that I work with, which is not really good either, but that's how I work. But I had to share it. So this is what I do. I'm not sure why. Probably because it takes a lot of time to go through it manually. But then again, it's a very good way for me to learn how the function actually works, which is something that I think is more relevant here than anything else. I try to implement it myself in order to learn, and then I can find some ins and outs of it. Yeah. And remember before, I made this map in my head, and this is basically how it looks. So here you can actually see like a mental map. We of course have the web application horse, right? Who lives here. This is the web application horse. And we need to use this web application horse to get into the fortress of Kubernetes, right? I mean, anyone seen this talk? No one? Good. Whew, saved. So yeah, this is from another talk. And when we're in the fortress here, we need to look at the workload village in order to find like the key or like a ticket to cross the sea of unbreached clusters, obviously. And when we cross the sea of unbreached clusters, we get dragons and gold. That is sort of how it works in my mind. So I built this map of things, basically. Yes. But it takes a time. It takes some time before you're able to get sort of productive. So it's basically this a bit, like like this is a golden who's digging things, just don't really want to be here, and then you get like a basic outline. Anyone play this when you were kids? Connect the dots. This is basically how it feels when I'm starting. It's like, yeah, I have the outline of everything, but I have no idea what it is. Potentially a leaf over there, or there is an eye, but I don't really know how everything is put together. And in order for me to be productive or be like to do something cool, I really need to understand the least significant bits, and I need to understand the minds of everyone included. Like, where will be the actual attack vectors? And that is really hard, and that's where the sort of art comes into it in my mind, because I read for 4 or 5 hours, and then I'm like, why did I choose this career? Shit again. And I was like, oh, that's the first, like, oh no, I hate this. But and I had a really bad year when everyone was doing NFTs and crypto things. Like not concrete like cryptocurrency, just crypto things. Now here is a brokerage where we sign something with Ethereum because of give me money. And a lot of people gave them money, and I've been auditing this company for 2 weeks. Still don't know what I should use their actual service for. I have no idea, which is like insane. I'm here to kill it, and I can't. Why would anyone need this? Yeah, it's just, and it was like VC company after VC company after VC company wanted us to validate their sort of investment. It was just like, it's broken. Oh, that's not good. Well, the problem is that what should you even use it for? They don't really care. So it's just, yeah. We had a lot of the NFTs, like, that is boring, right? Holy shit, trying to understand the infrastructure behind that. Oh, yeah. So then you have to do this. This is what I do. This is my pause activity. So when I'm stuck, I go out and I ride my bike. I like things where death is nearby. Could have something to do that I'm running on medication as well. If you haven't figured that one out, that's the thing. I have full-blown ADHD, and this is a really good medicine, because if I think of something else, I die. So really focus. And this is really cool, because then, this is really cool. This is how my mind works. I'm sharing now. So doing this, you need to be really focused, because if you fly too far, you die. But in the back of my mind, we're doing the connecting dot things. I'm 34 to 35. And then when I get back from this near-death experience, the whole complex picture looks more like this, which is manageable, right? Right? So it's actually like I'm on, I'm off, I'm on, I'm off. So it's like work is not really defined, which is also problem number 2, because when do you start working and when do you stop working? It's sort of in the mix. And the worst case ever is when you're close. So it should be doable, right? But you're not there. And that is like, it's the best for the client, because I will never let it go. I will just do it. That's really, I'm getting better at it, but it's really, really, really hard still. So yeah. This is sort of the art meets the whole, chaos theory or whatever. But one thing that I do a lot of is that boring things will tend to always be boring, right? So we don't want to do boring things, so we need to work around them. So this is something that I do. I do a lot of automation, hence the Python. Instead of refactoring my code to be cool and nice, I found Kubernetes. Awesome, auto-scaling, more hardware. Just one little binary running, more hardware, and everything works, which is cool. So I do a lot of automation. This is one of my clusters. This is 15 Raspberry Pis, which is super nice. They are running by Power over Ethernet, and I think on full load it is 154 watts. Pretty cool. And the whole idea why this is here is that I spent so much money on DigitalOcean, but since DigitalOcean just have your credit card, and I'm keen for automation, so you get this email with your invoice, which gets forwarded to my accounting software, which then gets, sort of entered into the bookkeeping, and then everything is good. And then come the end of year, and I get my balance report, and I was like, huh? What is this? Yeah, well, it's your servers. Servers? Yeah. And I start to look into it. It's like, oh yeah, fuck. I don't turn it off. So like droplets in DigitalOcean is like, I'm a one-person man, like a one-person shop, and I have a bill for like 65,000 Swedish kroners for servers that I use. And I don't use them for anything. It's just like, I run them, do a thing, leave them. I forgot about them. So it's just like, I don't even host anything on those. And so this came to be. So I need to change stuff. But in all honesty, this cluster is actually my workload cluster. And then I have another cluster for hosting stuff, which is based out of Mac Minis, which is pretty cool. Which are running Proxmox, so I can do whatever in that one. But the K-tree cluster is actually used to do enumerations. So it has a really cool overlay shim where I use a SOX proxy. Why am I using a SOX proxy? Any bug bounty guys in here or girls? No? Cool. There is a little thing on the internet when you hammer at a host, they don't tend to like that. So they block you. But then again, we have VPN provider, and they have servers with a lot of public IPs. So imagine if you could create a SOX chain with all their exit IPs, and you create an overlay in your Kubernetes environment so that one little lonely container can query the internet from 2,000 hosts at once, which is pretty cool, because then you don't get rate limited. So you could do like enormous enumerations over and over and over and over again without getting caught. But the CDNs of the world are not happy. So they are actually starting to blocking a bunch of VPN providers now, which is sad. It hurts us. But this is the cluster. So here we can see the top one is 12 nodes. I lied to you guys. I'm sorry. It is 15. I'm not sure why. I actually just did a screenshot for this. But it's pretty cool to see that I have 84 gigabytes of RAM and 48 cores of ARM Raspberry Pis. I feel rich. Don't you agree? It's pretty cool, huh? And then, the Proxmox cluster here is just 4 nodes. Yeah, doing its thing. It's not really loaded. It's just like, if I need client or a VM for an assignment. I spin it up and I put all the client stuff there. And when I'm done, I just, save it basically. So I have that in my client folder, so I can bring it up next year or next time I look at it. Yep. Yeah. No. They're Intel ones. They're the last revision of Intel ones, because the ARM ones, the ARM, you can't even say that anymore. The M ones or 2s or 3s. Yeah, the Apple Silicon, that's a good one. No, they're all ones, because of reasons. Yeah, exactly, because of Apple doing Apple things. Yeah, I don't like Apple. Sorry. I have an iPhone. Yeah. Yeah, but this sort of gives you an idea of my work. It is a lot of fun, but it is a lot of reading, a lot of trial and error, and a lot of disappointment. But sometimes you get gold, and then it's the best feeling ever when you get this huge chain of attacks in order and sort of align the planets and then just way, and you get the gold, which is really cool. And it happens a lot, but not as often as you want. So the dopamine hit of actually hacking something is really nice. And that makes sort of the reporting and all the grown-up work worth it, I guess. But my idea is to do checklists, like if it is Istio installation, this is what you check. This is the exploits you've done previously, and try to index that in a good way so you actually can find them quick. Automation could help, but you don't want your automation engine to blindly exploit the client's things. So in my mind, it looks for certain patterns, basically, in both linting and both in configuration. And then it gives me a JSON array, which is actually in Postgres, which is pretty cool. Like the JSON, that's a new thing. So I can, sort of create like a delta on what's going on. And I can send like an inventory to the client. Like, this is what I have access to. Is this sort of aligning with your expectations on what we should test? And if they say yes, I can just continue, which is pretty cool. With research, that is a big one, and that is something we're going to talk about now. One of my pet projects that I've started to do now. So it's really early on, but I found some really cool things. Are you sleeping? Still going strong? Friday. Good. So this is something we're going to talk about now. So we're going to be the cool dude in the left. And we're going to look at GitHub Action. And we're going to look at how a really small, weird thing could actually leave the entire corporation's footprint vulnerable, basically. Which none of you in here would ever do, obviously. Because you are really good at reading manuals and the fine print, which is cool and all. I really wanted to share the whole thing of this, but doing this late at night, I sort of figured out that if I leave the actual form that was vulnerable here, you knowledgeable people will find the client, so I did not. So initial entry will be this 3 bullets. So this is an application where it's a SaaS application. You can sort of figure that one out. Where you could do things as an administrator or as a client, and you can save things, which is always good. And the input is not really sanitized because it lives in a short-lived space within a workload, within a container, and that is obviously secure. I think. And this is basically what I do. And now it's TypeScript, I'm sorry. I think, But this is the funny thing. Now I'm going to put you on the spot on Friday. What is cool with this? There are only wrong answers. I won't publicly shame you. Not cloning, but user-controlled inputs. So this will actually take user-controlled inputs, and there's no sanitation. So you can see all the SSH command, repository tag, temporary folder, and we have repository URL, and that is controlled by the client. And when you sort of look at it, you can sort of feel that it smells a little bit like a repository structure, obviously. So what if you could do a post request that looks like this? because the repository tag is controlled by me. So https blah vget c2.x, yeah, my control server. And that works. And everyone is like, yeah, well, what the hell is that? Well, that means I can do command injections, right? So then we can do this. We can actually use netcat in order to call my server. And then we get a back shell, which gives us a bunch of nice things. So now we have a session to the company by not sanitizing a simple input in a form that we can save as a draft, because that is executed on commits. Which is a normal thing to do, but not in the sense that it's user controlled, which is weird, because then it will leave us with a shell. And this is where the next section of my talk will be a little bit more technical. If this is technical, it will be more, so brace yourself. Because you can see something really nice here, right? The Git token. What is this Git token? What can I use it for? For anything, right? So it's the auth token. You can use it with the GA-CLI, you can use it with Git in order to authenticate as that thing. And identity pools, anyone? Raise your hand. Heard about them? 1, 2. Anyone worked with GitHub Actions or workflows? The hands raised is not correlating with what you should know. This is going to be fun. One thing, cloud, anyone? Clouding? Yeah, now you're shy. Okay. Anyone heard about this though? What is this? WIF. The kids say WIF. Workload Identity Federation. Which is an awesome thing, because it's also a really big problem, like having static keys and long-lived keys. So we have workload identity in Google World, which is awesome, because they are rotatable, and we can actually manage them in a good way, which is awesome. But then again, it's based out of OAuth. Anyone here knows OAuth? Lying. Everyone is lying. No one knows. Not even GitHub and Google are in agreement on how to set this up, which causes a lot of problems. Well, that sort of fixes it. There is an RFC for IPv6 as well. How is that going for the world? Not very well. But it is immensely complex. So it's not like the idea of just connecting two things. It's not a new thing. We have doing federated authentication a long time, when basically like, now I need to come up with an example, like AWS and Okta, for example, could be a thing where you create a SAML federation and you connect things apart or together. What is the most important thing there then? Security, authentication, integrity, blah, blah, blah. There's a bunch of stuff, but what we tend to do is we're pretty lazy. So templating is something that we use a lot, and templates are like the main problem nowadays. They are made to work, not to be secure. And the whole sort of era of like this parenting. How many in here have kids? I don't have any kids, but I'm gonna go to your level. It's like curling your child. It's templating. It's the same thing, basically. What do I know? I don't know. I just thought about that. Maybe not good, but yeah. So templating is like, it takes so many, it's gonna work. It's gonna be a soft fail or a soft sort of, we don't really know, is it working? It is working, but is it working correctly? Nah, it works, right? So, and how do we determine if it works correctly or not? You hire me and I break everything, and then it's sad days. Or there is like a person who's really keen to kill you, breaks your whole application, basically. So, yeah. OpenID, OICD chains, and OpenID federated tokens and whatnot, they are pretty complex, and they can be implemented in multiple ways. And not all of them are good. This is something I actually found pretty recently. If you ever set this up, this is horrible. Because allowed audiences should be a specific set. It should be like a organization, should be a repo, it should be something, right? But here it's just like, yeah, well, any token from GitHub will be okay. We're okay with that. What? No? Are you sure? But this is actually a real problem, because if you have a statement like this, and let's say anyone here work for an open source organization? Do like an open source project? Yeah, so if there is like a person who is really good at Spanish, and you have a Spanish README, but you're really shit at Spanish, and that person's like, hey, update your README in Spanish? And you was like, yeah, of course, you can be maintainer. And you give them access to that README. That person is actually in your organization, in your group, so could they influence the things in? And that's where aspiration and claims come into the picture. This is, I know you're sleepy now because this is hard, but there is so many things that you have to sort out in order to get this to work in a robust way, like with separations and logical boundaries. And from the get-go, it's horribly broken. And even if you don't like looking at IOC templates or infrastructure as code as this, even if you'd like, it's Friday, I'm tired, I don't want to do this, you move over to the UI, and it's not getting better. It's not. So, anything wrong here? Yeah, basically the same picture. Oh, yeah, the question mark, yeah. Ah, this is sad. So, what happens here is that if I press save here, anyone getting any problems with this? Everyone's just shy. There is actually a few problems here. So if I press save here, I would sort of give everyone who has access to this pool the access of the service account. They could do anything with anyone can do anything as the service account ever. It doesn't really say that. Really? Oh, maybe it does. So it's like, yeah, but it's basically all the principal have the same resource permission as the service account. So everything that is it's federated to this service account could do anything like that service account. And what is that? Why is that bad? If you don't really have resource specific IAM models or policies or groups attached to this, you could do a lot of stuff. And most commonly is like, yes. Works. So overly permissive service accounts is really a thing, because the idea of separation is like, yeah, well, they're not inside our Google organization, so how they really need to have a good foothold. Well, you only need a form, basically, as we showed you guys, and then you can get access to the, it's really horrible. And then you have another weird thing, because how many of you guys work in an organization where Azure is still holding on and you have like a hybrid AD? No one? Yeah, there is a few. Sad. Because then you need to be able to add more providers, right? You can't only use the Google authentication. You need to have Azure. And what happens now? We're pivoting to the provider thing, right? We need to integrate more providers into our Shazam. And this is also funny, because then you have like share responsibility models, which is just a thing saying like, yeah, we care about security as long as our shit doesn't break. Which is basically true. So when you're going to do federated authentication or federated identity to another provider, you sort of, well, here you go, do whatever. Basically, that's what it says. And misconfigurations happens by default here. These is the default settings. And if you press like the advanced, I didn't show this, but it's like, no, I want to manage this myself. And then you get like a form with the claim and aspiration that is like this big. And there is like, this is actually honest true from GCP. It is like pre-populated regexp. Anyone here knows regexp? Still liars. No one knows regexp. It's like, it's just a black magic of code. Like, I go to this regex explorer all the time. You guys do it as well, right? Because no one knows. How the hell does this get passed through? No one knows. And that is pre-populated by default. Like, you sort it. You went from IOC code to the UI. Now solve regex. It's just insane. It's an insult, right? So people will tend to use the templates. And then you can do this, which is also super cool. Because then you can like AWS. Do we want to do a thing with things, which is awesome? This is even worse, because then you will the least significant bit here will be the AWS organization. So any AM that comes from that or AWS organization will be accepted as the service account. Okay, so then we just move everything to AWS. So really complex, right? There's a lot of stuff that you have to sort out. So in this case, this was one Cognito, for example. Anyone used Cognito in AWS? Yeah. Do you know why they switched to 2 verbs instead of 1? because of it was horribly broken, because AWS has a demand that user attributes needs to be managed by the least significant bit, which is the user's key, which is really sad if you have a Cognito IDP, where a person can actually use the key and connect to the CLI and change their own attributes, and you use that to authenticate. So if I could change my email address outside of the concept of the application, I guess login doesn't work anymore, because you build the application logic on top of a service, but we can now query that service from the side. So yeah, it is a lot of like intricate puzzles, but the whole general idea of this is that it is complex, and if we add more, like a provider pool in this case, we create an even more dangerous thing. And the showcase here is that Google, AWS, GitHub, all of those are providers, and they have different subsets, all of them, which could be really dangerous, right? So yeah. And the takeaways, now I know it is Friday, but the only thing you should really take away from this section of the sort of talk is this. So really audit these a lot. And if in any case, this is for Google only, sorry, this is all we have time for. Update or create is present, you're doing it wrong. Stop. Because they will create problems for you that you have no idea. And don't take my word for it. Google this and find out for yourself. I'm saying this out of kindness, because it will save you a lot of trouble going down the line. Are you sleeping? Almost shit. But we need to talk about this. So soft fails versus hard fails, it is a real thing. And we need to be really, really, really adamant in this world of stress that we validate that it actually works as intended. This year, I think I've found like 6 or 7, or maybe 6 issues that is perfectly working for the intended use case. My favorite one is Okta. It is this awesome authentication schema that is set up through an application. It works. But you can also just redivert the entire authentication flow from a server that you control, because you don't think about the bits and pieces of the entire authentication chain. So a production set feature for login works flawlessly with all the bells and whistles, but you as an attacker don't need to use their Okta identity pool. You can use your own, and they will only validate that you were authenticated correctly, which is very, very sort of what, but obviously pretty common, right? Because it's hard to do it the right way. So this is my sort of idea. If you have linters in your VS Code prompt and whatnot, they are all good, but they will fetch like os.execute. They will fetch like low-hanging fruits. The whole idea of like attacking stuff these days, it's chained. So it's like getting stuff moved through different contexts in order to explode at a given point. So we need to be really adamant about what we protect and how we protect it, and that the shells don't turn red anymore. They just work-ish, and we don't really validate what's actually going on. So that's my that's the homework for everyone in here. We need to be really adamant what our thing does and what it doesn't do and what it should do. Not only working. And yeah, in order to sort of summarize these, security is hard. It is always going to be hard. And it is, even though we have cool AI modules and whatnot that we can query, which helps us a lot, it will still be hard because it will be an evolving thing, and we will build on top of things, basically. Automate as much as you can. I think not because the sense of just giving it away to some robot that will actually do it, but automation is actually, in my mind, a good way to construct a rule or some kind of configuration that does exactly what you are afraid of. And I don't mean go in and like enable guard duty and audit logging and whatnot, because then it will be like the fire hose trick where we play a game and I have the fire hose and I just point it at you and open and I say spot the drop, and you will not be able to do that, right? It's not really a fun game either. Like, yeah, it's here, find it. It's insane. So you should really be adamant about your logging, and you should really focus on what you're afraid of. And that has to be done by the boring task of threat modeling and everyone needs to be in alignment what we are protecting and why we're protecting it. Not the tech-savvy people, everyone, the adults with all the money as well. They need to have a buy-in, basically. I like open source stuff, like you should use the open source framework like TFSec or Chekhov or SemGrep for all I cares. Like you should use those linters. They're actually good. Snyk is good as well. You should use them because they will give you an idea on what's going on in your infrastructure as code stuff, for example. And your Python stuff as well, or Trivy could be a thing as well. And then think about the bigger picture. Everything is connected. We are lazy people. That's why we have all these aggregated providers. We have cloud. We have authentication. That's why we put them out on the internet. But we need to be very structured on the idea that everything is actually connected. So, yeah. Separation is key. Zero trust. Yes, sir. Yeah, so the linters, well, let's say, what kind of ID do you use? Like, where do you write code? Oh, sad Java. Sorry, not the right guy. I don't know. Maven, that's a Java thing, right? No, I don't know. Like, Java is not my thing. Seriously, I don't really know Java. But I do a lot of VS Code stuff. So I like the Microsoft IDE. I use it for Linux. It's great. And there you can sort of install a plugin that does like source code, like static analysis of your actual code. So it's linting your code, and that could be done by, it knows like IRC structures like Terraform, Ansible, Puppet, TypeScript, it could be whatever, right? So you actually get some kind of security aspect on what functions you're actually using. That is a good starting point, but you really need to understand how data or input is flowing through your application fauna. So yeah, that's my idea. So now, yeah, do this. We have Security Fest. The CFP is open. This is commercial. If you want to join, go. Yeah. And now we made it to questions. I'm done. 10 minutes for questions. Thank you, guys. Any questions? Don't be shy. Yes, sir. Yep.
How do you make sure that you don't do anything illegal, one?
Wow.
Or destroy something that you are not allowed to destroy for the company?
That is a very good question. That has happened in the past. So, yeah, you have to be really careful. So, production versus staging versus test. In all honesty, we tend to actually test a lot of stuff in production. We don't do mindless, we don't do anything, like I talk a lot about automation now. But the emphasis of automation is just to enumerate and list, not actually do. So what my enumeration does is it just creates a big-ass index of all the things that I found that I might be interested in. So it does the whole clicking around for me, basically. So I don't do mindless exploitation, just sending things and hope for the best. I don't do that at all. It has happened. We had one incident that was really, really bad, which is bad for multiple reasons. We were working at different time zones. And one of our testers went to bed, and he used a tool called Burp. Anyone used Burp in here? It's basically a proxy where you can create a request, and then, yeah, you can do automations and whatnot. So he did a content discovery on an API, went to bed, and yeah, that was a bank. And that endpoint that he was hammering was an API to create credit cards. So we created 300 and something thousand credit cards before he woke up. And that is a good example on how not to do it. So we tend to be very careful with doing mindless exploitation. We don't do denial of service or distributed attacks at all. So if we know if there is a potential risk that something breaks, we would tell the client, basically. But the sad truth is that nearly all our exploitation chains never get caught. And they don't disturb the sort of, yeah, the normal operation of the application. The other question was? Yeah, illegal. I always get a get out of jail free card. Basically, always. I have permission of doing whatever I do. So now I'm actually going to do a denial of service attack against a client next week. But then we have Google's permission to do it. Google are really cool that way. So you pay for like really premium denial of service, but it's basically just we will just ship all the traffic through. So it's layer 7. I don't know. Go ahead. Do whatever. It's actually true. AWS could be a little bit more constraint, but yeah. Anyone else? I think we have time with, some.
Thanks for a great talk, and I'm one of the listeners of Secrets podcast.
Good man.
One question is when it comes to more like appliances, people buy a lot of boxes, company buys a lot of boxes. Oh, here is a nice firewall that will protect your kingdom. How much do you work with that? And
I'm really biased in this matter, I'm sorry. Yeah. Juniper Networks hates me. I hate Juniper. That's like, no, I hate boxes. Like, the problem is that they want to make so much money. That's like the only thing that they do. So Juniper was one of my nitpick of, this is way back, 2018. It's like remote code execution after remote code execution after remote code execution after remote code execution after, and it's like the final, I think, patch note from Juniper was like just disable the gweb, which is the UI where you configure the web UI, where you configure your firewall from. It's like, yeah. Surely you should just update your 15-year-old PHP code. Probably. No, it's end of life soon, so we got to make more money. That's what they do. So appliances, some of them are good. I did some pen testing, which I can't say, for appliances, for really expensive appliances, and they were really good. So it sort of depends, but I'm pretty sure that Cisco, Juniper, Palo Alto, we had some really, yeah. Anyone here works at Tieto? No reason. So yeah, it will always be prone because there's a technical debt will always be not in their favor basically, because it is legacy code the instant they sell it basically. And Juniper, for example, the whole management system it's just they took something nice like the Elk stack, and then they put Java UI on top of it, which slowed everything down and made it horrible, and then they take a lot of money out of it instead, which is 100% true. So I don't like them at all. I like open source stuff because you can audit the code, but I'm biased.
All right, I've got a question. So I want to get into pen testing, and I've tried like Bandit Labs over the wire.
Oh, nice.
But like, it didn't quite stick in my brain. Do you have any other like suggestions?
Sure.
Or ways?
Which field of pen testing?
I don't know.
Oh, that's even better. So Hack the Box.
Okay, haven't tried that one.
That is a really good one.
All right.
You can do the free ones.
Free is good.
Yeah, free is very good. Hack the Box is nice because then it's a little bit about everything. Crypto, web, reversing, orchestration. It's a little bit, I like that. Bandit is, over the wire stuff is generally, it's cool, but it is pretty old now. It gives you the basics of like Linux privilege escalations and whatnot, but it's not really modern. So I would say Hack the Box is nice, or Try Hack Me is nice.
Try Hack Me, all right.
And Portswigger, Burp.
Portswigger?
Yeah, the company behind Burp. They have a lab where they go through, go through all the OWASP top 10s, like web application security stuff, which is pretty cool if you haven't worked with it. And it's really nice because you get hints, not the correct answer right away. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I'm actually in time. I'm really happy about this. Never happens.
Thanks for the great talk. So yesterday we got another talk about getting old and being a developer.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is, if now later in my career I want to kind of pivot into security, like should I just try, or do I need to be like a 14 years old on
I don't know.
caffeine? Like
I had this really weird thing happen last week when I was working on an attack chain. And I was really verbose about it. We were sitting in Slack, chatting about it, went to sleep. 2 kids that I call them now, I'm the old dude. They managed to fix it before me. And I was like, yeah, so this is happening now. Getting old and slow. No, but I don't know. I think I do believe that going to school and become a pen tester straight away is a horrible idea. I talked to someone who wanted to be a pen tester, I'm sorry. But I think it's a horrible idea. I think you should do development, or you should get into the gist of security work, so you get as big of a ground as possible, and then you can become niched in one sort of area. So I do think there is a very good potential in someone working with development to pivot into security. I think that is probably preferable in my mind. And I think that juniors out there who strives to become pen tester, it is cool. Don't mind me, I've done it for a lot of years. It is cool, but it is also a lot of work. And it's nice to have a solid foundation about how to actually build stuff before you break things. I still build stuff. I showed you my clusters and whatnot. I still do this. I still have Second Podcast is actually run by GitHub Actions, which is horribly misconfigured. So I broke the whole sort of build pipeline for our podcast, which was not intentional. But hey, I break things. I don't build things because I didn't know what I was doing. I removed a bunch of we don't need this, and it just and no one knew why. But yeah, sorry. Anyone else?
I had a
All the
question.
way, yeah.
I have a mic. Can you hear me?
Where are you?
Here.
There. Thanks.
I had a quick question about basically how do you get into being a pen tester as a freelancer in terms of the terms of engagement and a company trusting you not to leave backdoors or users in the system?
Yeah, luck, I guess. I don't think my story is my story is really weird. So 2016, like Cure 53 is cool and all, but it's a little bit elitistic. I can't say this on stage, but I'm doing it anyway. So in order to join them, you need to sort of be recommended, and then you do like a tryout, you do like a test. And if you're good enough, you can stay. And then you have a bunch of years where you work, and if you're good enough, you can stay, basically. And to share my origin story, I joined Cure 53 2016. And back in that day, I was really focused on OVPN, the VPN protocol. I looked at that a lot due to my work with Mullvad VPN, which is one of my oldest clients. I work with them a lot. So Fredrik is a friend of mine. He's one of the founders. I've been there when they were 2, and now they're like 50 or something. And my first assignment with Cure 53 was with Jan Horn. Anyone heard about him? No. But anyone here heard about Meltdown and Spectre? Yeah, that was the guy. So I came to work, OVPN, that was my work package. It's like, yeah, I know this. And then he sends me this giant-ass message in the night, like with a time speculation, TCP sequencing attack in OpenVPN. And I was like, no, surely this is not a thing. Well, it turned out that was a 0-day in OpenVPN. And my mind was just crushed. So imposter syndrome was real, and I suffered a lot of that. So I think that in order to join as a freelancer, that is not the first step. I think I'm fortunate in that way to sort of made a reputation around myself, but I think you should jump into a consultancy and make a mess, and then when you sort of learn, then pivot out to do your own thing. It was by chance. I had a consultancy called Assured, which I created with some of the dudes from the podcast, and I was not good at adulting. I figured out that I'm building a company now. I'm not hacking anymore. So that's why I became a freelancer, basically, because I had the client base already with recurring tests, basically. So I don't really know the way to pivot. I wouldn't start as a freelancer. I wouldn't start as a bug bounty nowadays. When we started bug bounty, it was very easy money because no one did it. But now a lot of people do. So now you need to be very quick or get invited to private programs in order to actually make a lot of money, if that answers your question. Do we have time for one more? We have 1 minute. No? Yeah. It's so hard to see everyone.
Do you have any tips for running a successful bug bounty program without being overwhelmed by automated scripts?
No. No. No, the simple answer is no.
Because
so you should target.
We get a lot of emails.
Sorry?
We get a lot of emails with crap.
Oh, yeah, on that side you mean. Okay,
so
okay. Now.
How do you run the actual bug bounty program?
Oh, good question. I don't know. I'm not probably the right person to do this. I've never been on this side. But I do know what you mean, like missing security headers, robot.txt. I was like, shit. You should be very strict on what you accept as a bug. That's something that we do accept these. We don't care about this. I think that should be adamant, and then just drop everything that contains that one. Seriously, because yeah. I wish bug bounty was that easy, just to send out a bunch of those. Yeah. In all honesty, like an old bug that we actually found, which is similar, was like an anonymous open mail relay in Riot Games, League of Legends, and that paid us like insane, like $10,000 or something, which is like what the. That would you'll get like 100 or a T-shirt or something like nowadays. So yeah, it's become more mature in that sense, but I think scope, you should narrow down the scope really much. Okay.
All right.
I think that's it.
Big round of applause and thank you.